Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. This is IAMFITPodcast. Thank you for joining me. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, so I appreciate you. You know, I did a show out back, a few shows back, called In Defense of Jewish People. And basically, the premise of the show was that I'll show a video of, I think, like 3 or 4 Jewish men, whether it be Orthodox or somewhat probably Reform, that were saying, hey, the rumor of Jewish people running the world is true. We've been trying to run the world since God gave us the covenant in Mount Sinai. And that you had basically other Jewish people saying the same thing, that they're going to wipe out America, they're going to wipe out Edom, which they deem the European Christian world. And in defense of that video, I was saying, well, isn't that not what the Hebrew Israelites, not all, but a lot of the ones that deal with the racism, say the same thing? And we went over the book of Obadiah. We went over different scripture that is in the Bible that Edom, is going to be destroyed and wiped out from the face of the earth. And they believe the same thing. So in defense of that, right? Now, most people, when they see the Hebrew Israelites in the streets saying that they're going to wipe out every person, usually people dismiss them as nut jobs. But I got to admit, it comes in a little different when Jewish people are saying the same thing about Goyim's going to serve us. We're going to wipe out the white Christian world, yada, yada, yada. It has a different flavor when they say it. It has most people get a little more worried about it. Those guys in the corner, they have no power. I also did another video, or I also made another statement that I don't believe that Jewish people are ruling the world. And I still don't believe that. But I do believe that Jewish people have a great deal of political power. And I think that Jewish people, and like I told Brother Snomo from Israel when I interviewed him in the show a few shows back, that Jewish people are a victim of their own success. But this is not a new law that has passed. It's pretty old. It's been around since, I think, at least 4 years, since 2017, 16. I knew something about it, but I didn't go into much details. But someone just popped this video to me a few weeks back, and then I wanted to check it. I checked it out, and I did some research. And I got to be honest with you. It got me pissed off, Israel. My Jewish brothers and sisters, listen, man, I want to make peace, but before there is peace, there has to be justice. And this law, and this is to the Jewish brothers and sisters, if you guys really want peace in the world, you guys cannot allow, whether it be the Israel state or the ADL, we're going to discuss that in a few minutes, because we need to stop boycotting the ADL. We need to stop boycotting this law, or any state that has passed this law. Or at least have a conversation about this is literally tyranny. My brothers from the Jewish community, you guys have become the new white supremacists, and you don't even know it. I want to play this video. Fair use. I was extremely pissed off when I heard this, and I was like, this is not normal. This is not going to help the peacemaking process, because I'm about peace. I'm about, I know emotions get all flared up with religion and politics, and I've been part of that. And I'm an independent thinker. I'm looking at every side of the fence objectively. And Jewish people, you guys have to start cleaning house, man, with these ridiculous laws. I don't know who came up with this idea, but this is the dumbest idea. If you guys want to, okay, if any law that has passed, at least is passed in 26 states and is pending in 13, and I think only 11 hasn't refused it or hasn't decided to pass it. If any law that will suggest or apply that the Jewish people are ruling the world, this is one of them. This is ridiculous and this is stupid. So we're gonna play some videos, fair use. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for sharing and coming and joining the show. But we need to have a conversation about the ridiculousness of these laws that are being passed in defense of Israel. Fair use.
And from the national headquarters of RT America in our nation's capital. Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. There is a law that you need to know about tonight that seems to go against really just about everything that we believe in as Americans. It is probably as unconstitutional as anything that this news person has heard. I was born in Cuba. My parents brought me and my brothers to this country, to America, because they feared that if we stayed over there, that we would be forced to think only a certain way politically. Now, as I read this new law that I'm about to share with you, this new law that is creeping into America, I have to admit to you that I am stunned. Stunned. Because it's a law that seems to force people to think a certain way politically. Exactly what my mom and dad did not want me to experience, right? So this is serious. This law, which has led to the firing of an elementary school speech teacher in Texas and has even kept hurricane survivors from getting prompt government assistance, essentially punishes any American if they dare go against the economic interests of Israel. It's as if they're saying, if you want to live here, you got to be pro-Israel and pro-Israeli policies. Look, I know this sounds crazy. I feel almost crazy just having to report this to you. It's America. Especially considering that there's no such law, nor should there be, by the way, says the U.S. Constitution, that forces us, as Americans, to support even our own country. As much as we...
And this is crazy because we could boycott the government, we could protest here in America. That is a fundamental right as an American. But we can't do that with Israel? My Jewish brothers and sisters, this is ridiculous. This doesn't help you. If you want people to support Israel, come up with a better plan. Inspire people. Win the argument. But to force people that you have to support Israel? It's amazing how it got passed with one state, but 26 and 13 are pending?
We love the United States of America. We're allowed to criticize it. We're allowed to boycott it. We're allowed to burn her flag, says the Supreme Court. But a teacher in Texas who's been there 9 years, who's said to be excellent at her job, she can't work anymore for the government of Texas because she's not willing to sign an employee contract that essentially says that she must not ever boycott Israel or take any action that in any way penalizes Israel economically. Now, I want to go over here because I want to show you something, and because I know what you're thinking. I know what you're probably thinking right now. You're thinking, oh, sure, Rick Sanchez, of course. What you're probably talking about is one of those obscure state laws like the one they have in Alaska that says if you accidentally kill a moose, you have to eat it. That's actually a law in Alaska, by the way. There's one in Georgia that says it's illegal to sleep on a boat for more than 30 days. True. No, we're not talking about an obscure law. What we're talking about is an Israeli loyalty oath law that is becoming so common in the United States, it's now pervasive. Take a look at the map. You see the red states? See all of those red states?
And Republicans, you guys have to start standing up to the state of Israel. I mean, come on. I mean, this is insane. And this is the garbage. This is the idiocracy of this country. Now I understand why people get caught up with this conspiracy theories that, you know, and I'm trying to be objective here. I'm trying to be someone that, I don't know, I'm trying not to go into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory. But at this point, I think I'm looking like a fool here. Maybe Jewish people are ruling the world. Maybe that's not too far to think anymore. That's not, you know, outside of, you know, the possibility of rational thinking. Fair use. This is for educational purposes, information only. Fair use.
26 states have enacted this loyalty oath legislation. And let me show you the other one, the navy blue ones, the blue ones you see there. That's where this law is now pending. So 26 acted on, passed, 13 pending, only 11 states, the light blue ones you see there, the baby blue or the light blue, those are the ones where you can boycott Israel and, you know, criticize Israel.
So let's see here. 1, 2, Maine. It's New York. I think New York. Oh, New York is red. Come on, New York. So, and I think the law is state workers. I don't know if city workers. It may be city workers. Any government work, because government could be city, state, federal. I gotta ask. I gotta sit there. Maybe call my brother. He works for ICE. Did he have to sign this thing? This does not help with your PR. If I was the Jewish people's manager, I would be like, this is the most ridiculous thing you could do. It's not going to serve you anything. It's only going to make people feel oppressive. It's only going to feed the stereotype of you guys, you know, running, you know, feeding the stereotype that you guys run the world. And it's not necessary. You know, what will be, but I will understand this. I want to play some other videos because I want people to understand what's going on here. Fair use.
If you want. Again, look, it bears repeating. There is no such law keeping you from denouncing or boycotting the United States of America, or even advocating causes that harm the U.S. economically. But there are laws from doing that against Israel. Curious, eh? I'm Rick Sanchez. This is RT America, where we do believe in sharing stories like this, where you won't see them in most other places, because it...
CNN did not cover this. This is RT. This is an old video. I was trying to pop this, you know, get this thing. Thank God for the brothers who sent me this. RT is no longer played in the United States. And what people need to understand, man, information these days are very easily accessible. You can't suppress information anymore. Those days are gone. But it's one of these things that people want to just continue doing these ridiculous scenario. And what's the governor of Texas, man? Shame on you, man. Shame on you. Fair use.
If your Texas house was destroyed by Hurricane Harvey, you can get emergency funds unless you support the boycott of Israel. I'm not joking. 21 U.S. states have passed similar laws, which ban state funds going to people or businesses who choose to boycott Israel, a country which a recent UN report has labeled an apartheid regime. But America was born on boycotting. Remember Britain, taxes, tea, ring a bell? And now survivors in Dixon, Texas, filing for emergency funds, have to sign a contract stating the applicant does not boycott Israel and will not boycott Israel during the term of this agreement. The state government...
Are we serious here? This is America. This is real stuff here. Now people understand why people are fed up. If this thing continues, if this thing becomes a thing that is known, because the government, the media has covered this up. They have ignored this. CNN, Fox. This is not new news. This is old news that I just stumbled into. And I'm pissed off now. But this is not a new law that just popped up. And this is the type of crap that is going to destroy America. And you're going to prove us Hebrew Israelite correct when we say America is Babylon and America is going to be destroyed. It's going to be judged. And all his legs and arms outside America. And one of the biggest arms of America is Israel. See, the reason why Israel is being supported by America, it's not because they love Israel so much. No, it's because they understand that they need military bases and they need some form of presence within the Middle East. So Israel is just another extension of America. But this is idiocracy. This is idiocracy. This is dumb. There's no reason for you to say you must sign, like any PR person would say, this is not a good look for Israel. It's not necessary. There's nothing good could come from this. This only is gonna give the stereotypical belief that Israel is in control. I gotta sign this Israel, oath to get some release from my house. Single mothers, old people, retirers. I mean, come on, guys. This is stupid. Now I understand why people hate Israel and hate the Jews, the Jewish people, because of nonsense like this. And Jewish people only got themselves to blame for idiotic stuff like this. It's not necessary. This is overboard. This is over the top. But what I know, fair use.
Government is plainly telling its citizens that either they get to keep their right to boycott or they can get help rebuilding their homes. What kind of choice is that? Strong-arming folks who have just suffered a disaster, lost everything, into signing away their constitutional rights for the term of this agreement?
And this poor guy in Texas, he doesn't have any power. If you want somebody to give you a loyalty clause or whatever, it should be somebody with power. What's the worst this guy could do? Protest with a sign outside somewhere? And it's only that's why I always urge people, they have to start suing. Because once things get in the papers and things become law, then it's in the books. It's in public, and a judge have ruled over it. It changes the direction of future discrimination.
Which is what? Forever? And it doesn't stop there. A church in Kansas recently urged its members not to buy products from companies which profit from Israel's illegal occupation of Palestine. A math teacher who's a member of this Mennonite church has since been barred from working as a state contractor after she refused to say that she wasn't boycotting Israel. How can a government punish a people for what amounts to a thought crime? Imagine civil rights proponents in the 60s being told, you either buy cookies from the KKK or you don't get electricity. Or women in America's suffrage movement being granted the right to vote, as long as they don't push for equal pay. Remember these folks? They lived in a senior citizen home in Dixon. If they were that Mennonite church collectively boycotting Israel, would the government just leave them to drown?
So you see what I'm saying, my Jewish brothers and sisters? Do you see why people hate your guts? Do you understand why people are fed up with the Jewish people? And you guys always playing this victim role? This is not necessary. It doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. All it does is expose that you guys have a ridiculous amount of power and control over what goes on in America, and you're actually using it. You're the new white supremacist, my friend. I was trying to be fair and objective. I was trying to say, okay, let me not punch down on the Jews and the Jewish people. And listen, I believe that you guys are not the descendants of Israel. But I believe that you have the right to believe that. But still, you don't have the right to do this nonsense. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. This is not logical. But if you don't care, let me tell you something, guys. My Jewish brothers and sisters, nothing lasts forever. No power lasts forever other than God. So keep going. Do these strong arm approach to force people, poor people, to support you. Okay. See how that works out. I got some more videos I want to show. Fair use.
Sorry, y'alls know the rules. You buy from Israel or else. And let's get something straight. It should not be illegal to boycott Israel. It isn't anti-American and it isn't anti-Semitic. It's an individual's choice which the free and fair government of America should keep out of. Because without boycotting, where would America be?
It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. It's just one of those things that doesn't stop. Every within seconds, somebody put a swastika in a synagogue. The whole world is reporting it. The gig is up, guys. My Jewish brothers and sisters. What goes around comes around. When you reap what you sow, stop your crap. You already got the country. You won. You got it. This is overkill. This is stupid. It's more.
A state law that is supposed to be about the Texas economy and foreign relations is now the basis of a lawsuit over free speech. KVUE political reporter M.G.G.W is here now. And Ashley, this is about a complicated topic, Israel.
Yeah, very complicated, Mike. In 2017, the state of Texas passed an anti-BDS or anti-boycott law. It banned state agencies from doing business with companies that boycott Israel. But a speech pathologist in Pflugerville says the state is trying to silence her right to free speech. May 2017.
Any anti-Israel policy is an anti-Texas policy.
This is why the Republicans are a bunch of hypocrites. They talk about freedom of speech and freedom of right with Donald Trump gets kicked out of Twitter or whatever. But this Palestinian teacher, translator, gets fired. She's a Palestinian. That's like me being a Dominican. I am a Dominican. And there is someone who's, Spain is conquering my country. And I can't talk about it. I got to support with my oppressors. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to just be calm. But this is ridiculous. And the governor of Texas, you're an idiot. You're an idiot by allowing yourself to be pimped by the state of Israel.
Governor Greg Abbott signs an anti-boycott, divestments, and...
Shame on you, Mr. Abbott. Shame on you. I kind of used to like you. At least, during the time of COVID, you was more dealing with, freedom. What about this teacher's freedom? You're a hypocrite.
Sanctions bill.
That's why I told you, brothers and sisters, man. Politics and who's going to be the next president, that's all a show. Focus on your family. Focus on yourself. Prep. Listen, there is no helping America. It's too corrupt. It's too corrupt.
Into law, prohibiting state agencies from doing business with companies that boycott Israel. Fast forward 19 months.
It attacks me personally, attacks my family.
This is Bahia Amawi. For the last 9 years, she's been an independent contractor with Pflugerville ISD, working as a speech pathologist for young children, specializing in students who speak Arabic. But when the time came to sign her contract this year, she saw this, a new clause as a result of the law stating the contractor doesn't and won't boycott Israel. As an American, Amawi says it violates her right to free speech, and as a woman of Palestinian descent, she says it does more.
I have a lot of family members who are still in occupied territory, suffering from the brutality and the aggression and struggling every day.
She didn't sign and lost her job. Now she's suing the state and Pflugerville ISD.
This law was intended to prevent Americans from exercising their constitutional rights to protest a foreign country. And in this case, it's really absurd that the Texas law is taking a foreign country's side over the side of students who need Bahia's services.
That's why it's extremely important for you guys to know what you guys are signing when you are employed in any position. Sometimes people just say, they give you like 15 pages to sign. You just sign, you not read them. There's certain things you should ask. Hey, I'm curious. Do I have to sign the loyalty clause for the state of Israel? Is that part of one of my requirements? This does not help. This is stupid. This is an imbecile could figure this out. Like, this is not going to help Israel. It's only going to give bad publicity.
Governor Abbott weighed in.
There will be riots in the streets if there's a law that you cannot boycott America or policy or whatever. That's part of our identity as Americans, to boycott. Who came up with this stupid law? I would like to know who is the sponsor of this dumbass law.
And on Twitter, retweeting our story on the lawsuit with the comment, quote,
See, and a lot of these Republicans that are signing these laws, they're like hardcore Christians, and we got to support Israel. If you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. You're supporting white supremacy. That's what you're supporting. You're supporting apartheid. You're supporting terrorists. Yeah, I said it. Israel is a terrorist state. The best thing that Jewish people could do is disassemble the entire state of Israel. Just listen, it doesn't work. It's only going to get worse. I know right now you guys think you are winning, but it is impossible to believe that you could do all that evil and not have any judgment. My recommendation for brothers that are in Israel, leave. I know there's brothers in Dimona, they're getting deported. Brother, that's the best thing that could happen to you. Go to Ethiopia, go to Africa, go to another scenario. When the Messiah comes, he'll straighten things up. But now, you're dealing with a land that is cursed by God. Any land, and I'm a Christian, okay? So anybody who is offending, go fly a kite. This is called freedom of speech. You cannot say, well, God gave the land back to Israel, and the Israelis are fulfilling God's prophecy, and you are allowing the biggest gay and only a parade in the Middle East is in Israel. The land of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the place where Christ, the Messiah, did his ministry. And there's no respect to homosexuals, but you guys have to understand boundaries, man. That you have to have a gay parade in Israel? A holy land, a religious land?
Stands with Israel, period. Now, the Texas Attorney General's office sent us this statement that reads in part, quote, private citizens and companies have every right to express their views on any issue they wish by boycotting.
But they don't have the right.
Companies and citizens. They do not, however, have a right to use money they obtain from government contracts to make that statement. Obviously, this is a lawsuit we'll be following.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so why is this not news? Why is this, not being blasted in every part of every news station? Maybe because there's a lot of Jewish people in the news media? Maybe? See what I'm saying, Jewish people? After a while, you playing victim and we just out here eating bagels and keeping Shabbat. We're not doing anything. This is all propaganda. This is all anti-Semitic. After a while, that story and that excuse is going to get old. It's going to get old. Because you even have now Jewish people that are waking up to this idiocracy, buffoonery. Let's talk about it. Even Jewish people now are standing up against the hypocrisy of this ridiculous, these Jewish organizations supposed to be defending victims. But all they're doing is victimizing. You guys are the new white supremacists. Fair use.
It's time that Jewish donors say no to the ADL. As Jews, the ADL supposedly represents us. So why would their main defense end up advancing conspiracy theories about Jews? How they initially handled Kyrie Irving made one thing clear. The ADL cares more about fundraising than combating Jew hate. And what happened? ADL's leader, Jonathan Greenblatt, has turned the organization.
This guy is a scumbag. And I said it, he's a scumbag. He looks like a scumbag. He looked like a guy who is like, I'm from the Bronx, from New York. We could smell bullish a mile away. This guy, what he did, what the LDL does, they look for people that they could intimidate to give them money. And you could tell this guy, all he's about is say, oh, okay, Kyrie Irving, yeah, let's get this guy. The ADL is the new mob, is the new organized mob for the Jewish community. It's time for good Jewish people to stand up against the criminal element of their own community. The Italian people had to do it. Black people had to do it. Talk about gang violence and all that all the time. We have to stop talking about Jewish violence against non-Jewish people. We have to talk about the violence that Jewish people are doing towards Israelite people. Let's talk about it.
Into a partisan mechanism of attack fueled by corporations. The ADL regularly leaves off anti-Semitic threats from the Nation of Islam and other politically incorrect sources of Jew hatred from their guide to anti-Semites. This organization's ulterior motives and partisan behavior is unacceptable. It's time for donors to band together and find new leadership that is not scared to combat Jew hatred.
So it's happening. A lot of people are waking up to this bull snotch. They're waking up. They're waking up. If you guys want to talk about it, you can call in 646-450-2013 is the number. But I was appalled. I was like, this is dumb. This is, come on. After a while, this is indispensable. You know, I know a few weeks I said in defense of Jewish people. I cannot defend this nonsense. This needs to go. This is, you could fly a kite with this one. I'm not going to defend this nonsense. I always said it. If you want peace, right? Everybody, hey, let's bring peace. Let's bring peace. Let's have peace. Okay. But it first needs to be justice. Hey, brother Snowmo from Israel. We spoke a few weeks back. I know you moved from Boston. Do you condone this nonsense? Because if you do, we can't be friends. You have to start calling out the bull snotch that's going on in your community. This is overkill. This is stupid. I want to play this video for you guys. I want you guys to pay attention. Listen to the words this man is saying. Because this is how I feel, but I think he could explain it a little better. Fair use.
It is the stupidity of man to think that he can do evil, even some monstrous evil, and it won't have any backlash on himself. But of course, it seldom works that way, and the moment he figures that out, he starts looking for a way to avoid the repercussions of what he's done. This is what happened with slavery. In the early 1800s, as it began to look like the end of slavery might be on the horizon, white America started to be concerned that a day of reckoning was coming. The primary fear for the average person was of retribution and insurrection, and that was a reasonable fear. After all, it's illogical to think that you can do to a whole group of people what was done to African Americans and think that they will just take it lying down forever. And of course, there were things like the Nat Turner uprisings. But for the wealthy elite, their fears went beyond things like insurrection. They were worried about the financial impact. Remember, it was not just the cotton plantations that profited from slavery. Whether you're talking about the banks or the insurance companies, the railroads, even the newspapers, the fact is that almost every aspect of the American economy was at some level or another invested in the slave business. You also need to recognize that for the wealthy elite,
and this is a fact. And I don't care if YouTube kicks me out. I used to go to Rumble. Follow me at Rumble. A lot of these corporations are run by Jewish people. Jewish people own black people reparations. Spain owned reparation to the Latino countries in the Caribbean. America owned reparations. The Middle Eastern countries, the Arabs owe reparations. There's going to be a great judgment. It's not going to come from us. It's going to come from God. My people, what you got to do is follow the teachings of Christ. Forgive your enemies. Love them, those that prosecute you, and don't do harm to them. Pray for them. But we must speak truth to power. And Jewish people, You have to stop brutalizing the children of Israel.
Who controlled this system. Slaves were an asset as long as they were slaves. But at the moment they are set free, they become a liability. And what the elite knew was that the end of slavery would instantly release 4 million people into the economy who had been kept uneducated and effectively unemployable anywhere but the cotton field. The other fear that these people had was
Well, I have to correct him about uneducated. Black people pro and pre-slavery were educated. They were the workforce of America. They were the farmers, the blacksmith. So this notion that black people will be a problem after slavery is hogwash. If they would have left black people alone, Black Wall Street will still be running today. Fair use.
Intermarriage between blacks and whites would lead to a loss of racial purity. The question was, what were they going to do about it? And their initial thought was that they would just send all the slaves back to Africa. This plan was called colonization, and it had broad support among the wealthy elite. In fact, the American Colonization Society was even funded by the United States Congress. But in the end, colonization proved to be unworkable, and the idea was eventually scrapped. But about that same time, a new philosophy was emerging in the world. It was called eugenics, and for some, it seemed...
Oh, yeah, different races are genetically different, and they're pre-exposed to certain diseases, and look at this brain size versus this brain size. This is when this genetics nonsense started.
like the perfect solution to what had become known as...
And listen, I don't want to, because sometimes I get phone call with all due respect to some of my white brothers and sisters. And they want to pass the blame only to the Jewish people. Listen, black people, people of color, indigenous people, we are like someone who's been passed around, raped, and murdered and molested by all the tribes of Europe. Germans had a peace with us. Germans raped us. British raped us. The Italians raped us. The Irish raped us. The Jewish people raped us. Now, granted, there was some righteous white people that helped and even died to save black people. So shout out for you guys. We have to be fair and objective. But reparation is owed. And how you could pay people of color back? Justice. Rain down justice. Remove corruption out of America. Stop hurting and keeping black people down out of this fear that we're going to come back and hurt you. But what I'm saying, we read last week that, we will have healed Babylon, for her sins has risen up to heaven. You have destroyed the children of Israel. You have raped the children of Israel, molested the children of Israel, murdered the children of Israel, enslaved the children of Israel. The blacks and indigenous people, we are God-chosen people. And yes, just because we God-chosen people doesn't mean we are automatically saved by God and we are going to be find salvation. You must believe in Christ. You must keep the commandments of God to be saved. Jew and Gentiles alike. But God said it with his own mouth. If you touch one of my own, it's like touching the apple of my eye. Fair use.
Negro dilemma.
And folks, this is one of those things, man, that I don't want to cause or stern anger and frustration in regards to these conversations and these historical events. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of it all, the ridiculousness of it all. So, my Jewish brothers and sisters, if we start waking up that we're the Jews, right, and we the Israelites, we start looking into the research, we're going to view you not as an ally, because I know you guys march with us. I know, yeah, Catholic people also march with Martin Luther King and other people, to show support. But that's not the support that we want when the camera's there. We want justice. What was done to us? Look at all these countries that are in the Caribbean, like Haiti, the country that share with my people. Look at the condition we'll be in. Justice. Do right by them. Don't look at, don't you just rape and pillage of people and then sit back and just blame them for their condition. Look at these people. They can't get along. They can't get it right. And these laws that you guys are passing about this, oath to Israel is a continuation of this white supremacy. Shout out to Black Honor Movement. Shalom, brother. Hope you're doing well. Make sure you support his channel, Black Honor Movement. He's doing his thing. I'm just appalled for all the ridiculous and things that we have to go through. And thank God, I'm surprised that Black people have not rioted and become murderous. You understand what I'm saying? Some terrorist organization killing everybody. Thank God that we're merciful people. But we have to bring justice back into the land. Justice. May the Most High keep you and bless you. And good night.